Make a birthday card, and we're actually going to use Whisper White cardstock. So I'm starting with 8.5 by 5.5 inch piece of Whisper White cardstock scored at 4 1/4. So it's just going to be a standard card size, and I'm using real red paper here, and this piece is 1 5/8 by 4 1/4. And the reason it's an odd number is because I just want 1/8 of an inch of the red sticking out underneath my designer series paper. So I've got that applied, and it's actually the textured real red cardstock I'm using. And then this is the Not Quite Navy designer print, which is in the level 1 hostess set, and this piece is 1.5 inches by 4 1/4. So I'm going to put that on, and you can see there that it's just a tiny strip of red showing there. And now for the bottom of my card, what I'm going to do is I have the same thing. It's 1.5 inch piece of the Not Quite Navy cardstock, but because I'm a bit particular, I didn't want too many levels of paper on my card, so I actually cut 1/8 of an inch strip of red to go here because I'm going to use some half circles as a decorative feature on the card. So what I'm going to do to get this on is I'm actually going to move my real red up just a smidgen, and I'm going to use it like a ruler to go across my card. Because it's so narrow, it would be tough to stick on. And then I'll apply my Not Quite Navy paper, and I should have some adhesive left on the top portion that my real red will stick to. So I've got my Not Quite Navy. You can see here there's a little bit of adhesive sticking out the top. If you didn't quite get it all the way, as I didn't quite, I'm just going to take my 2-way glue pen and just draw a line across. And now I'll apply this little strip. And now what I've done is I used my 1-inch circle punch, and I punched out 5 Old Olive half circles. So rather than using the full circle, I just punched out half. And to do that, it's kind of tough to see, but on the punch, you'll actually notice on the side that there's a little tiny notch here, and there's also one on this side. So what I did is I took my cardstock and I inserted it, and I just lined up my cardstock so it was against each of the ridges on each side. So I made sure it was lined up perfectly on each direction. And then when I punched, I knew that I would end up with 5 half circles exactly the same size. And what I'm going to do here is just apply these circles, and I'm going to start in the middle to make my scallop. And I'm going to do it just below the real red cardstock. And because this is a little thicker than our designer paper, it actually gives you a nice ridge for it to line up at. And if you start in the middle, you know as you go out that you should end up with scallops that'll have the same amount hanging off the edge. Approximately. It doesn't have to be perfect. So I've gone my way across here, and I'll do the same thing over here. And my last piece. So it's just adding a nice little decorative edge. And now I'm just going to cut the ends off. And to do that, I find it easier to flip over and then use the back as a guide to cut that off. So I can line it up exactly with my cardstock, and now I've got my card front. Now what I want to use is we're going to use the cupcake from Crazy for Cupcakes, but I want my card to be fairly simple and fairly bold. So what I've done is I actually stamped the cupcake, the icing piece on Not Quite Navy. I'm going to use the candle here on the Old Olive, and then the base here on Real Red. So I'll cut those out, and I will be right back. Hi there. So you can see here I've got the bottom of my cupcake cut out, and the icing, the candle, and the flame. And I've also stamped my image here in basic black just on my card front to use as a guide for where I'm going to attach my pieces. So I'm going to take my bottom of my cupcake first. I'm just using a little bit of snail. I'm going to attach that to my card. And I'm okay with it overlapping the red a little bit down here. And now I want to add a little bit of pop. So what I'm going to use are my dimensionals. So I'm actually just going to stick some dimensionals onto my card for the icing. And a trick to the dimensionals is just to put a little crease on the inside of the dimensional, and then the backings peel off nicely, unless you cut your nails the night before like I did. And so now I'm going to just pop this baby on. So I'll stick that on. And now my last step here for the candle, I want it to be popped up as well. So what I'm going to do is just cut one of my dimensionals in half, and then I'll use that along the on my card here for the candle. And then I'll just apply a little bit of two-way glue onto the piece of paper here, just so the bottom of my candle will stick. I'll stick that on. And then for my flame, there we go. So that too has a little bit of dimension. And for my flame, I'm actually going to just glue that straight down. And I'll color that in maybe using some yellow. I could have actually stamped it onto maybe more mustard and then just glued that directly on. But at the time I wasn't sure what color I wanted to use, and now I've decided it'll be more mustard. So there's my cupcake to start. And now for my greeting, what I'm going to do is actually the exact same thing we did here with the cupcake paper piece. I'm going to paper piece my live, laugh, and love. So I've stamped it on real red, the not quite navy, as well as the kiwi kiss. So I'll cut out the words, and then we'll piece together the greeting there as well. Okay, so I just randomly cut out my words here, live, laugh, and love, in my cardstock. I just made sure there were straight edges, but I didn't care if all my lines were parallel. I just wanted it to look kind of random there. And now I'm just going to take my happy birthday greeting and stamp that on my card in basic black ink. And I've got myself a pretty quick and easy, bold birthday card to use. I hope you like it. Thanks.